So this is Geoff King. He's the Director of Industry Transformation, Financial Services Sector, Cisco Systems Canada. Geoff leads Cisco's industry transformation portfolio for the financial services sector in Canada. Geoff works with business leaders to develop initiatives that leverage Cisco's expertise, solutions, and partners to improve operating economics and to enable structural innovation in their organization, distribution, and service delivery models. It's a lot of stuff to do. Geoff draws on a broad base of international leadership, business transformation, human capital, and mergers and acquisition experience in large private sector organizations and private-public sector partnerships in Canada, the US, and emerging markets. Prior to joining Cisco, Geoff held strategy leadership roles with the Toronto Financial Services Alliance, CIBC First Caribbean International Bank in Barbados, and with Williams Communications in Houston, Texas.
Thank you very much, Bianca. Thanks to everyone who've organized this event this afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. Hello, Susan. I want to talk, in the time I have, I will touch on not so much the technology or the data aspects of it, but I wanted to share with you something that Cisco and many in the industry are beginning to call or label the Internet of Things. And I'd like you to think about this area as the source of a lot of new big data to come in the coming years. Through my presentation over the next few minutes, I will focus on a little bit of what's driving us into this new world. I'll talk a little bit about some use cases as they pertain to healthcare, and spend a little bit more time on smart cities, because that's where I think the impact on citizens and the social and the community actually comes. Then I'll end with a little video. I have a short clip of one city, Barcelona, that started down this path to become a smart city, and you begin to see some images and some capabilities that ultimately, once implemented, will be very valuable for not only attracting businesses and talent to Barcelona, but also productivity, efficiency, and quality of life type impact for their citizens. It's a long road, so I'm going to show you a little bit about what's possible, and also I'm going to show you a little bit about the path and the journey that people have begun to take, but not quite there yet. Food for thought. And as I go through this, please give some thought to how the characteristics of what I'm sharing with you might apply to your portfolios and areas of work. So the Internet of Everything. Let me start by saying that 90-odd% of what we know as things today are not connected. What do I mean by that? I mean that we have information networks, we have computer networks, we have telecommunications networks. And through our cell phones and iPads and things of that nature, we've become accustomed to using them when they're connected onto the internet. So if I said to you that there's approximately 95% of the things, all things that are potentially connectable, that are not connected, you can begin to get an idea that if, by just using what we have today, the 5% or less that's connected, the amount of data that's already been generated, what's going to happen when we begin to connect the 95% that's not currently connected? And I'll give you some examples of that. So Cisco has done a study and estimated that when you look at the growth in terms of connectedness, that, for example, in 2000, the year 2000, there were approximately across the globe about 200 million things that were connected into a network. By 2003, that had changed to somewhere in the vicinity of 10 billion. So you can begin to see the escalation and the exponential growth that has occurred just in that time. And then when we look out to the future, 2020, the estimate is that there are going to be about 50 billion things that are connected in some way, shape, or form to the network. We also believe that this idea of connecting the unconnected is what this trend is about, and what the opportunity and where the opportunities lie for government, for us as citizens, and for businesses. So inside Cisco, we talk about connecting the unconnected in order to change the way the world works, lives, plays, and learns. We believe that has environmental contributions in terms of cities and the productivity and the quality of life. For us, it has implications and benefits in the area of enriched lives. For work, how work is structured, how organizations are structured, how businesses are structured, will change and will be transformed. When we think about transportation and driving and commuting, and in terms of the safety and the efficiency by which that's done, and then last but not least, in the areas of energy efficiency, healthcare, and the like, and I'll share a few of those with you. So let me first define the Internet of Everything. It is really the connection of people, process, data, and things. We can connect each one individually, but the power that we get and the exponential value that we get when they are all connected is significant. So we're talking about connecting people in more ways than we have been able to do before. Delivering information at the right time to the right person. We had a little bit of examples with healthcare, and I'll touch on that in a moment. Leveraging data for decision making. If we can get access to this data, the kinds of insights that we can develop and the value of those insights. And things that are not connected today, let's just think about them, physical things. And by physical things, you'll see that I'll reference examples that I'm talking about are cars, lights, water, and anything that we are using today as part of our environment, the idea of connecting all of those things to an intelligent network. And if we can do that, the power that we get, the value that we get, is going to be exciting, it's going to be challenging, but I think we all benefit in the long run. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the idea of connecting all of these pieces and dimensions together and with each other. So let me just start by giving you a few examples. Some of these might be a little bit more familiar than others. But here is a power or utilities example, where BC Hydro has started to use smart metering. And it's actually out in all of their remote areas. And the kinds of impact that it's having is that they can actually begin to monitor and better adjust consumption. As more and more people move into our cities, as more and more people come to Canada and settle in different cities, the demand for energy is going to go up. These are the kinds of things that are going to help BC Hydro and a number of utilities to actually not only understand load factors, but then with the technology embedded, begin to manipulate them and adjust them more dynamically than they've ever been able to do before. A lot of what you'll see in these examples pertain to sensor technologies, right? And one of the ways in which we like to describe this, it's giving a voice to things that currently do not have a voice. It's enabling something that cannot communicate today to communicate in the future. And you'll see this theme running through some of my examples here. So that's utilities. That's about energy usage and energy delivery, and managing that delivery and doing self-repairing of the different systems along the way as they become corrupted and the like. Another example is agriculture. And here I'm talking about, as an example, connected cows. Now, let's pause for a moment and think about connected cows. Keep in mind also, as I mentioned, I'm talking about sensors being placed on, in this case, animals, delivering information about that animal and the environment in which that animal is in, sending that information to a center, a processing center, and somebody analyzing this and making some decisions around it. Think about thousands of cattle. How do you keep track of them, first and foremost? But more importantly, what about the health of that cow? If you could monitor the health and the changes in the health of that cow, what would that mean for delivery of medicine and the like? What would it mean in terms of the supply of milk and the management of milk and ensuring the quality and the safety of milk? So while it is one of those examples that are out there, we already see the Alberta Institute of Technology beginning to experiment with this and learning about the impact that it can have in terms of how herds and cattle are managed going forward. Let's turn to the right side of that diagram and think about trees and plants. Connected trees, connected forests. What if we can put a sensor into the seed and into the tree and remotely monitor climate change as it's occurring where those trees are. Pollution levels, the impact of the environment on the health of the tree. And if it's a fruit-bearing tree, we can monitor the crop and the yield and things of that nature. This is being done today in terms of the early stages. So here's an example of things, cows and plants, that did not have a voice. And because of the Internet of Everything and sensors and communications technology, we can now have those things begin to communicate with a central location and decisions being made based on that. Healthcare, very important to us all. On the left side of this chart, we're showing a picture of a wired blanket with sensors. So the patient is in the bed, and we now can place a sensor-based blanket on top of that patient. And that blanket, through the sensor, is going to monitor everything about the vital statistics of that patient while they're in the bed. And they're going to be able to send that information back to the nurse's station or to the healthcare professional who's monitoring that patient. We're going a step further. Some of these beds are going to be wired and connected to the internet and provide a similar type of interaction and feedback based upon the patient that's in that particular bed. Coming down to the bottom left, that's a contact lens that will monitor blood pressure and blood sugar levels for diabetics and be able to report that back, store it and report it back to a physician who's treating that patient. And on the right, it's a little bit of a sort of a barcode being placed on someone's arm to provide all sorts of vital statistics and data. That's possible today. So you might think these things are intrusive, and they probably are in many cases. This is where policy is going to come into play. But think about the potential value of having this type of insight about each of us and as patients. And Bianca touched on the open data side of things. The real value of capturing data here is how it's used downstream. When you go to a different healthcare facility, and that doctor in that facility can have access to what's been captured when you stayed in the hospital here. So these are just some of the possibilities that I wanted to share with you. And then the final area is going to be in and around smart cities. And we all live and work and commute. So this is really about putting sensors in things within our city. For example, in the parking lot. In parking lots, I should say. Having a sensor that tells us whether a parking spot is free or not. And being able to broadcast that to us as we're driving down the 401 or Yonge Street or wherever we happen to be. How much better would that be for us in terms of productivity? We're talking about streetlights that also have sensors, and they will be controlled from a central location, not only by sunlight, but you can now do a lot of things to manipulate and modify and adapt lighting in various parts of the city. Traffic flows, all of those things are now possible. On the bottom left, I'm really talking about connected cars, and we're seeing more and more of that today. You've seen the commercials, the insurance commercials. Every car has a computer, by the way, now, as you know, and those computers are going to be much more interactive. And some of the insurance companies now are encouraging drivers to put monitors or sensors in the car, and the idea is that the better you drive, the safer you drive, the better the rate. But they'll need a way to monitor that. So that's what that's sort of showing, that cars will become much more intelligent, and they will be connected in more ways than we can think about today. What would that mean in terms of fuel efficiency, gas supply, and transportation volumes, and city planning, and all of that kind of stuff? Smart buildings, part of that, smart city, whereby this building, and any building that we construct, the things that we don't normally put on a network today, lights, water, HVAC, can now be put on an intelligent network. Cisco is working with a number of manufacturers whereby they're designing the lights that we can actually connect into the router and into the network. We're moving into a new building in 2015 at Water Park Place. That building will actually be run by a network, by a computer. So when we think about building efficiency and climate control and comfort levels and things of that nature, all of that has direct impact on our well-being and productivity as we work in the cities and in the offices. And then garbage collection is another example I'm showing here, where we're talking about smart garbage cans. We've already seen those pop up in various forms. But what this is also showing is that it could also be a revenue source by equipping it with credit card processing capabilities, so that if you want to dispose of certain types of waste, you can pay right at the garbage can. Now, these are just a few examples. Characteristically, though, they're really referencing things that don't communicate today, that will communicate in the future, and develop and generate information, useful information, about their status, about their capacity, about their environment. And from that will come tremendous amounts of data. The way in which we utilize that data and which is organized and the decisions we can make from that data is going to be our challenge, but also the value potential of having access to that type of data will be significant. So let me switch gears here, if I can, and just run you, as a final part of my presentation, this video on the city of Barcelona.
As the world continues to urbanize, with 180,000 people a day moving into cities, the competition between cities will continue to grow economically, environmentally, and even socially. The cities that embrace technology will surface as the winners.
Think about it. Only 1% of what can be connected is connected today. Imagine the possibilities. The internet of everything has arrived and is ready to change the world.
Cisco is extremely excited about Barcelona because the city is utilizing the internet of everything. By connecting its people and things to a city Wi-Fi, Barcelona is creating new services, richer experiences, and unprecedented economic opportunity for its people, for its businesses, and for its partners.
Barcelona is a social dream, and technology is able to make this social dream possible.
We face in Barcelona the very same problems that every city in the world faces. So we want to tackle those problems with technology.
What we're trying to put in place is a common solution for all the cities of the world.
It is estimated that 40% of traffic in city centres is caused by cars trying to find a parking space. Now, in-ground parking sensors communicate with devices in cars to help vehicle owners quickly find an available spot.
Putting sensors in parking spots allow us to get less cars, less traffic, people happy, so that the city becomes a more livable place.
We have to make it possible for people to understand that internet might be changing their daily life to improve it.
We transform the experience of wasting your time waiting for the bus into a full contact with the city. People can find information on routes for the bus, plus information on the area, business, commerce, shows.
Barcelona's citizens not only enjoy the smart bus stop experience, but are also able to maintain their Wi-Fi connectivity while on the bus or underground train. This allows citizens to get the same sensation of connectivity as they get at home. Understanding that much of a city's energy waste comes from less than optimal use of lighting, Barcelona is installing highly efficient streetlights which are dynamically managed to save energy, optimize maintenance, and provide a safe environment for citizens. A city-wide network of sensors provides city officials with concrete information so that they can make decisions based on real-time data.
Getting information on the flow of citizens, on noise, on pollution, on traffic, on weather conditions allows cities to streamline the city operations, reduce costs, and also improve overall sustainability. Economic sustainability, social sustainability, and environmental sustainability.
Barcelona can generate a blueprint of what the cities can become, and this is what gives full sense to what we're doing in Barcelona right now.
Technology is for people, technology is for using it, and technology is for improving citizens' lives. We are sure that the Barcelona of the future will be even much better than it is now.
Smart cities represent places where people will want to live. By connecting the unconnected, cities will be completely transformed. These are the cities that will harness the power of the Internet of Everything.
And for your reference as a final step, there's also, if you look it up on Google, the city of Songdo in South Korea, which is built from the ground up as a digital city, and you'll get an idea of what Songdo is doing. Songdo to realize that dream. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I hope I have given you a little bit of a glimpse of what's possible, and that this will sort of generate some thoughts about how these ideas can manifest and the value that they can bring potentially in the areas in which you work. Thank you very much for listening.
Thanks very much, Geoff.